Alex had been on this alien planet for almost 3 weeks. Every day was a struggle to survive. The air was thick with strange spores that sometimes made him cough. The sky glowed in an odd mix of green and purple, and the ground was uneven, littered with sharp rocks and tangled roots that seemed almost alive. He had landed here by accident during a supply mission, and now every step he took was calculated, every sound and shadow noted. He had learned the hard way that the planet was beautiful but dangerous. He had been hunting for edible plants and small alien creatures for breakfast when he heard a faint noise that made him stop in his tracks. It was soft, muffled, and almost like a whisper carried by the wind. He froze, listening carefully. There it was again, a tiny cry, desperate and terrified. He followed the sound cautiously, moving through the dense forest. Twisted vines brushed against his arms, and the ground was muddy from the last rainstorm. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, but something about the sound pulled him forward. It was human-like in its panic. Someone or something was in trouble. As he pushed through a wall of thick roots, he spotted a strange mound partially buried in mud and broken branches. His heart sank as he realized it was not a natural formation. Someone or something was trapped under the ground. He rushed forward, dropping to his knees. The crying grew louder, filled with fear and confusion. Alex began pulling away the mud, digging with his bare hands, working as fast as he could. His fingers were scratched and bleeding, but he didn't care. He couldn't leave whoever it was there. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he uncovered a small, fragile face peeking through the mud. The eyes were enormous, violet, and filled with panic. The skin had a faint lavender glow, faint patterns across her arms that shimmered in the dim light. Alex froze, unsure at first. He had never seen an alien up close like this, let alone one so young and scared. The girl's eyes widened when she saw him, and for a moment they just stared at each other. Then she whimpered, weak and trembling. "You're alive," Alex whispered, pulling more dirt away. "Don't worry. I've got you." The girl tried to speak, but the words were broken, unfamiliar. Alex realized she probably didn't speak his language. He carefully lifted her from the ground, noticing how thin and fragile she was. She shivered violently. He wrapped her in his jacket, which smelled of sweat and earth, and held her close to keep her warm. Her skin had a strange, soft luminescence that pulsed faintly as she breathed, almost like she was alive with energy. "What happened?" Alex asked gently, though he doubted she could answer. She shook her head, tears spilling from her wide eyes. Then, through a series of broken gestures and pointing at the ground, she indicated that she had been buried alive. Alex's stomach twisted. The thought of anyone doing that to a child or an alien child made his blood run cold. Her fear seemed to grow as she gestured toward a distant clearing, pointing at shadows that lurked just beyond. Alex understood enough to see that her danger was not over. Someone had tried to kill her. He had no choice but to get her to safety. He carried her to a small cave he had discovered earlier while exploring. The cave was damp and dark, but at least it provided shelter. He lit a small fire, careful not to draw attention, and placed her near the warmth. She flinched, wary of the flames, but eventually allowed herself to sit. Alex studied her carefully. She looked no older than 16, small and delicate, but there was a fire in her eyes, a mixture of fear and determination. He decided to call her Leora, a name he thought fit her glowing, almost magical presence. Leora watched him silently, her eyes scanning his movements, wary but curious. Alex offered her water in a small container and some of his rations. At first, she didn't know what to do, but hunger won over fear. As she ate, Alex began to piece together her story, though the details were still unclear. Through gestures, drawings in the dirt, and broken words, he learned that she had been betrayed by her own family. Her siblings had buried her alive, hoping to claim some inheritance or special ability she had. The siblings were ruthless, and their cruelty shocked Alex. Despite the horror, he didn't allow fear to dominate his mind. He knew he had to help her, but survival on this planet was never easy. He cleaned her wounds as best he could, careful not to cause more pain. The glowing patterns on her arms seemed to react to his touch, pulsing faintly. Alex wondered what other abilities she might have. There was something almost magical about her. As night fell, the alien forest became even more dangerous. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, and glowing eyes watched from the shadows. Alex kept a watchful eye while Leora rested. She shivered under the blanket he had given her. and he wrapped his arms around her gently to provide warmth and comfort. They communicated slowly, using simple gestures and drawings. Alex drew pictures in the dirt to explain food, water, and shelter, while Leora began to respond, pointing and nodding. It was a slow process, but trust was forming. Over the next few days, Alex and Leora learned to rely on each other. She was cautious, but her intelligence and curiosity shone through. She began to help him gather edible plants and find clean water sources. Her abilities, subtle at first, became more apparent. She could sense danger in ways Alex couldn't, noticing predators or hazards before they appeared. She could move small objects without touching them, though she struggled to control it. Her night vision allowed her to see in total darkness, guiding Alex when he needed to move stealthily. Alex, for his part, taught her basic survival skills, how to filter water, how to start a fire without sparks flying everywhere, and how to move quietly through the alien forest. He also shared stories of Earth, of forests, rivers, and cities she had never seen. She listened intently, her violet eyes wide with fascination. For the first time since being buried alive, she seemed to smile. They were not safe yet. Alex knew her siblings would be searching, using alien technology and trackers to find her. He decided they needed to be cautious, moving only at night and staying hidden during the day. Leora's trust in him grew, and she began to communicate more confidently through gestures and simple words she picked up from Alex. One night, as they rested near a small stream, Leora spoke her first clear sentence. "They want me dead," she said softly. Her voice was weak, but the meaning was clear. Alex nodded. "I know," he said. "We'll make sure that doesn't happen." She looked at him with wide, frightened eyes, and he felt a surge of determination. He would protect her no matter the danger. The forest was quiet that night, almost peaceful, but the danger was never far. Shadows of large creatures moved in the distance, and strange noises reminded them both that this planet was alive and unpredictable. Alex stayed awake for most of the night, watching over Leora, noting every sound and movement. She slept fitfully, her small hands clutching at the blanket. He realized she had not felt safe in a long time. She needed more than protection. She needed hope, and he would give it to her. As dawn broke, the first rays of alien sunlight filtered through the twisted canopy. Alex and Leora shared a small breakfast, and then he packed up their few belongings. "We have to keep moving," he told her gently. She nodded, though her small face was still pale and weary. Together they stepped out into the alien forest, ready to face the challenges ahead. Leora's siblings were out there, somewhere, hunting for her. Alex knew they were ruthless, but he also knew that with her abilities and his experience, they had a chance. More importantly, they had each other. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a strange sense of hope. The bond between a struggling human and a young alien girl, forged in survival and trust, was growing stronger every day. By midday, they reached a small clearing where wild alien fruits grew. Leora's violet eyes lit up at the sight of the food. She picked some cautiously, testing them before eating. Alex smiled, happy to see her eat. Every small victory mattered. As they rested in the clearing, Alex realized that despite the dangers, despite the betrayal and cruelty Leora had suffered, there was something extraordinary about her. She had survived being buried alive, and now together, they would survive this hostile planet. That night, they camped near a rocky outcrop. Leora rested against Alex, the warmth of his body helping her sleep. The forest around them was quiet, almost protective, as if the planet itself understood the fragile trust forming between human and alien. Alex kept watch, knowing that each day would bring new dangers but also new discoveries. He was determined that Leora would not only survive but thrive. As the stars shone above in alien constellations, Alex whispered, "We're going to make it. I promise." Leora, though exhausted, seemed to understand. She closed her eyes, a faint smile forming on her lips. For the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she was not alone. The next morning, Alex woke before sunrise, careful not to disturb Leora. She slept peacefully, her breathing steady, the faint glow of her skin illuminating the dark cave just enough to see her delicate form. Alex had watched over her all night, thinking about the journey ahead. He knew that staying in one place too long was dangerous. Her siblings were relentless, and they would not stop searching until they found her. He needed a plan, and more importantly, he needed to keep moving. Leora stirred as he adjusted the blanket around her. She opened her violet eyes slowly and gave a small nod when she saw him. Alex smiled. "We need to get to the human settlement," he said softly. She nodded again, her trust in him growing stronger by the day. They packed their few belongings and left the cave, moving cautiously through the forest. Every sound made them pause. Twigs snapping, strange rustling in the bushes, alien birds crying in the trees. Alex held Leora's hand, guiding her through the dense vegetation, their movements slow and deliberate. As they moved, Alex noticed that Leora was becoming more aware of her surroundings. Her large eyes scanned the forest constantly, and she began pointing out dangers before he even noticed them. At one point, a large alien predator, almost the size of a small car, crouched in the underbrush watching them. Leora froze, her hands glowing faintly. Alex followed her gaze and whispered, "Stay calm." The predator sniffed the air but didn't attack. Leora's glow brightened, and she gestured for Alex to stay behind her. With a soft hum, she raised her hand slightly, and a small force pushed the predator back, startling it. It turned and disappeared into the trees. Alex's jaw dropped. He realized her abilities were stronger than he had imagined, and he would need to help her control them. They continued walking, moving through rivers and climbing steep hills. Each day was a struggle, but Leora's abilities and Alex's human ingenuity complemented each other. She could sense dangers, find water sources, and occasionally move objects to help them cross difficult terrain. Alex taught her how to ration food and use simple traps for hunting small creatures. In return, she helped him avoid predators and navigate the alien landscape. They became a team, learning to rely on one another completely. Their journey was not without fear. One evening, as they rested near a cliff overlooking a vast valley, Leora suddenly stiffened. Alex followed her gaze and saw small glowing orbs moving toward them. Her siblings were tracking her with alien devices that emitted a soft light. Alex grabbed her hand. "We have to move now," he said. Leora nodded and they slipped into the shadows, moving silently along the cliff edge. The glowing orbs passed beneath them, unaware of their presence. Alex felt his heart pounding, realizing just how close they had come to being caught. They set up camp in a hidden grove, far from the glowing orbs. Leora was visibly shaken, but Alex reassured her. "They won't catch us tonight," he said. She looked at him, her large eyes full of trust and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered in broken words. Alex nodded. "You're stronger than you know. We'll get through this." Over the next few days, they faced more challenges. Alien storms swept through the forest, knocking down trees and flooding their paths. They encountered hostile creatures that seemed to appear from nowhere. Each time Leora's abilities saved them, she could see in the dark, detect movement, and even manipulate objects to create barriers or distractions. Alex marveled at her courage and resilience. She was small, but she had a spirit that could not be broken. Finally, they approached the outskirts of a human settlement. The structures were made of metal and glass, shining under the alien sun. Alex felt a surge of hope. They were close to safety, but he also knew that her siblings might have anticipated this and could be waiting. They moved carefully, keeping to the shadows. Leora's senses were on high alert, and she led Alex through back alleys and over fences, avoiding patrols and scanning for any signs of danger. Just as they were about to reach the main gate, a group of her siblings appeared, blocking their path. They were armed with strange, glowing weapons and looked determined. Leora froze, but Alex stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me," he said. The siblings advanced, and Alex realized there was no way around them. He needed a plan, and fast. Leora's violet eyes glowed brightly, and Alex understood that she was ready to use her powers fully. He nodded to her. Together they created a distraction. Leora lifted small rocks and debris, hurling them with precision at the siblings' devices. Sparks flew, and the siblings shouted in surprise. Alex used the confusion to grab Leora and sprint toward the gate. The siblings tried to follow, but Leora created a barrier of force, blocking their path just long enough for them to escape. Once inside the settlement, they found safety among other humans. Leora's abilities calmed slightly, and she allowed herself to relax for the first time in weeks. Alex led her to a secure building where she could rest and recover. The humans were curious but cautious, and Alex explained her story in simple terms. They listened in awe, amazed by her courage and unique abilities. Leora became the center of attention, but she did not speak much, still wary of strangers. Alex stayed by her side, offering comfort and protection. Days turned into weeks, and Leora began to adapt to life in the human settlement. She learned the language quickly, her intelligence making her a fast learner. She shared stories of her planet, her family, and the cruel actions of her siblings. Alex listened carefully, helping her process the trauma and teaching her about trust, friendship, and hope. Together they planned for the future, knowing that the siblings could not be allowed to hurt her again. One evening, Alex and Leora stood on a balcony overlooking the settlement. The sun set in a blaze of colors, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Leora turned to Alex, her violet eyes shining. "Thank you," she said, more confidently this time. Alex smiled. "You don't have to thank me. We saved each other. You're amazing, Leora." She smiled faintly, the first genuine smile since he had found her buried alive. Their bond had grown strong, forged in survival and trust. Alex, once a struggling human alone on a hostile planet, now had a partner, a friend, and a student. Leora, once betrayed and abandoned by her own family, had found protection, friendship, and hope. Together they had faced the dangers of the alien world, outsmarted ruthless siblings, and discovered the extraordinary potential that came from courage, trust, and human determination. The settlement became their new home, a place where they could plan for the future. Leora trained under Alex's guidance, learning not only survival skills but also how to control and enhance her abilities. She learned the value of patience, strategy, and human ingenuity. Alex, in turn, learned to appreciate her alien perspective, her unique insights into the environment, and the courage she carried despite her youth. One day, as they explored the outskirts of the settlement, they discovered evidence that Leora's siblings had not given up. They had tracked her to this planet using hidden devices and alien scouts. Alex realized that their struggle was not entirely over, but he felt prepared. Together, they had faced nearly impossible odds and survived. Now, with the settlement as their base, they could plan their next moves carefully. Leora's abilities had grown stronger under Alex's guidance. She could now manipulate larger objects, sense dangers with remarkable accuracy, and even communicate with some of the local wildlife using subtle signals. Alex was amazed at how much she had learned in such a short time. Her courage and intelligence inspired him, reminding him why humans were capable of extraordinary things when faced with impossible challenges. As night fell, they returned to the settlement exhausted but hopeful. They watched the stars together, alien constellations glittering in the sky above. Alex thought about the journey they had taken, the fear, the danger, and the moments of triumph. He realized that their bond had become unbreakable. Leora had not only survived her siblings' cruelty, but had thrived under the care and guidance of a human who refused to give up. The story ended not with a sense of finality, but with hope and promise. Alex and Leora knew the dangers of the universe were far from over, but they also knew that together, they could face anything. The struggling human and the 16-year-old alien girl had formed a partnership that transcended species, proving that courage, trust, and friendship could overcome even the most terrifying odds. Leora looked up at Alex, her eyes glowing softly. "We strong together," she said simply. Alex smiled, proud of her progress. "Yes, we are," he replied. The planet outside was still wild and dangerous, but inside, in the human settlement, they had created a safe haven. They were ready for whatever challenges came next, stronger and wiser than they had ever been before. And for the first time since she had been buried alive, Leora felt safe. She felt hope. She felt that maybe, just maybe, she had found a family in a struggling human who had risked everything to save her. And in that moment, Alex realized that humanity, even alone on a strange alien world, had the power to inspire courage, friendship, and survival in the most extraordinary ways. Together, they faced the future, not as a struggling human and a frightened alien girl, but as partners, friends, and survivors ready to write their own story.